Hello everypeoples, today we are going to be going over the top 20 creepiest Pokemon. You may be thinking, Pokemon are adorable. How could something as cute as a little Togepi or Igglybuff ever be considered creepy? Until you realize that they're a miniature eldritch horror wrapped in a bundle of false cuteness ready to suck out your eyeballs through a straw and then devour your soul afterwards for dessert. Drifloon. Stories go that it grabs the hands of small children and drags them away to the afterlife. So one thing I noticed about the Pokedex entries is that the earlier ones said that it was believed that they may be taking the children away. And then as the Pokedex went further and further along, it's like they were conducting experiments to like test it out and say like, okay, so are the Drifloon actually taking the children away? Yes, they are. See, there goes Timmy. Okay. They just had like a bunch of children, the Pokemon professors, and they're just experimenting and figuring out like, so what's happening to the kids? Like first, okay, yes, they're being taken, but where? To the underworld.
Imagine it's your birthday, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get my first Pokemon. And your mom gives you a Drifloon, and you hold the Drifloon, and it just immediately takes you away.
Have fun, honey. Next up, we have Yamask. Each of them carries a mask that used to be its face when it was human.
So this Pokemon's just like a straight up dead human.
And also notice that the Pokedex entry doesn't say that it carries around a mask that looks like its face. It says it carries around a mask that used to be its face.
So it's just like cut its face off. And
does it, when it dies, does it like go back into its grave and just like get some like
a knife, like
It's almost like you just die and then you wake up all of a sudden. You like look in a mirror and you're like, oh my God. Oh my God, what am I? One of my favorite Pokemon, Gourgeist. Small Gourgeist pretend to be children to fool adults. Anyone who falls for their act gets carried away to the afterlife. Eerie cries emanate from its body in the dead of night. The sounds are said to be the wails of spirits who are suffering in the afterlife. In the darkness of a new moon night, Gourgeist will come knocking. Whoever answers the door will be swept off into the afterlife. Supersized Gourgeist aren't picky. They will forcefully drag anyone into the afterlife.
The big ones are like, I don't need to go through all of that. I'm just gonna just grab you and just take you with me.
Halloween time in the Pokemon world really must be terrifying for everyone because when it's trick-or-treating time and someone comes knocking on the door, Connie, is that a kid or is that a Gourgeist?
That's true.
I don't know. It might be a kid dressed up as a Gourgeist.
Or it could be a Gourgeist trying to be a kid. I mean, to be honest though, parents in the Pokemon world, do they really care about their children that much? They're sending them off when they're 10 years old to go on an adventure.
Which kind of makes it even more scary because there's probably a lot of kids that are getting just like devoured by Pokemon. Next is Hattern, one of the Pokemon that I have on my team in Pokemon Violet, which makes me concerned for my character. If you're too loud around a Hattern, you risk being torn apart by the claws on its tentacle. This Pokemon is also known as the Forest Witch. Beware of forests that show no signs of living creatures within. You may have wandered into Hattern territory.
Oh my gosh!
So Hattern's basically the Blair Witch.
So this Pokemon's just really sensitive, honestly. And anytime that it feels threatened, it just goes straight to violence.
It also mentioned that it doesn't like sound. If you catch one, just don't ever make noise in general. It's the Blair Witch or it's the monsters from A Quiet Place.
Oh.
One of those two, basically.
They had a baby.
Yeah, and speaking of a child though, what if you like have a Hattern and you have like a baby in the house? Like, what are you supposed to do then? Just like tell the baby like, shut up, he's right outside. And you just push the baby out of the closet. You close the closet.
You have to chuck the baby so that the Hattern goes towards the baby instead of slashing and killing you.
This is your fault. You earned that. Next up is Spoink. Spoink bounces around on its tail. The shock of its bouncing makes its heart pump. It apparently dies if it stops bouncing about. Just imagine like the person that pitched the idea of Spoink to the other Pokemon peoples. Okay, so I've gotten this idea, right? It's a cute little piggy. He's got a little spring on the bottom of his mouth. He's just like always bouncing around. It's really cute.
That's cute.
And also he like goes around and he likes collecting pearls from clamp pearls. Like he holds them around on his head and stuff because they're like, oh, it's shiny and it's cute.
So sweet.
Yeah. And if he stops bouncing, he dies.
What?
His heart will stop forever and he'll die.
Phil, do you need therapy?
That's it.
That's a good idea.
Cubone. Cubone wears the skull of its deceased mother and never shows its face. Do you think with Cubone that like when its mom dies, it like takes off her skull and puts it on him? Or do you think he's gifted it by like his dad or something? You know, like the dad just comes up to him and is like, hey son, there's there's something that your mother wanted you to have.
What is it? Is it like a baby blanket or something sentimental?
No, close. It's her skull.
Why?
She wanted you to always have it to remember her by.
Okay, Dad, I guess I'll just put it in the corner.
Oh, no. She specifically said that she wants you to wear it at all times so that she's always with you, literally, on your head forever. Never take it off. Never.
Really what Cubone's father is trying to tell him is we can't see your face out in public. Nobody wants to see that.
Next is Mimikyu. Mimikyu is constantly wearing a fake Pikachu costume that it made itself to try to appear more adorable to people because what lies underneath is apparently terrifying and deadly. A gust of wind revealed what hides under this Pokemon's rag to a passing trainer who then went home and died painfully that very night.
What?
Its neck breaks also every time that it gets damaged.
Aww.
I'm pretty sure. There will be no forgiveness for any who reveal that it was pretending to be a Pikachu. It will bring the culprit down, even at the cost of its own life. If you see a Mimikyu, you have one. You better refer to him as Pikachu at all times. So not only is this Pokemon like eternally tortured, like physically, because its neck literally breaks every time that it's in a battle, but also if you look at its face, whatever its face is so disturbing that anyone who looks at it dies. Next we have the Sandcastle Pokemon. Palossand is known as the beach nightmare. It pulls its prey down into the sand by controlling the sand itself and sucks out their souls. You thinking like you want to go out to the beach with your family for a fun weekend? Oh, look at that, there's a sandcastle over there, Mom, I'm gonna go check it out. And I'm like, okay. And then 5 minutes later, little Timmy's bones are underneath. Frozelass. When it finds humans or Pokemon it likes, it freezes them and takes them to its chilly den where they become decorations. It's rumored that it was the soul of a woman that was lost on a snowy mountain that then possessed an icicle and became this Pokemon. The food it most relishes is the souls of men. So it really just sounds like she just hates men. Really?
I heard Pokemon who is resourceful and creative, you know? They're just trying to decorate the place. That's all.
With some nice human popsicle decorations. And here's Gorbis. You may be thinking like, oh, Gorbis, what a pretty, beautiful looking, exotic, majestic Pokemon. And you'd be right, because some of the Pokedex entries say its swimming form is exquisitely elegant. With its thin mouth, it feeds on seaweed that grows between rocks. Also, it siphons the body fluids of its prey through its thin tubular mouth. The leftover meat sinks to the seafloor, where it becomes food for other Pokemon. I like how the Pokedex entries completely contrast each other. It's a beautiful, majestic fish of the sea. It swims elegantly. Also, it siphons the juices out of its victims. Basically, the sleep paralysis demon of the sea. One of my favorite Pokemon lines, Lampent. This Pokemon appears just before someone passes away, so it's feared as an emissary of death. It lurks in cities pretending to be a lamp. Once it finds someone whose death is near, it will trail quietly after them. It actually uses those souls as fuel for its fire. At least this one doesn't kill people. It waits for them to pass. Or imagine you're just like, you're taking a selfie, and you're taking it, and then you see a Lampent like behind you like,
if you see a Lampent, just know that in your mind. Just look at it and be like, I had a good run. This was fun.
Gothitelle. They can predict the future from the placement of the stars, where it can also learn when its trainer is going to die.
Oh my gosh.
If you catch a Gothitelle, you're just going to be constantly having like small little clippets of nightmares about revealing how you're going to die someday. And then the reason it shows it to you too is because it's sad that you're going to die. So its way of doing that is saying like, I saw how you die. You want to see? One of the Pokemon that I may pronounce wrong, I always say Yveltal. When its life comes to an end, it absorbs the life energy of every living thing and turns into a cocoon once more. So basically, when this Pokemon dies, everyone dies. It's just game over.
How do they know that that's what's gonna happen? You know, did this legendary Pokemon tell like Pokemon scientists, hey, just so you know, when I die, everybody dies, so that we would all serve this Pokemon and do whatever it pleases?
Maybe it was Arceus. Maybe Arceus told them, hey guys, by the way, see that one right there? Yeah, Arceus. That is Yveltal. Okay, cool. What's his deal? When he dies, all of you die. I hereby proclaim that is the prophecy.
What if Yveltal is like a daredevil, and so it's constantly putting itself in harm's way?
Everyone's just watching like, hey guys, today we're gonna jump the Grand Canyon. Ready? Last week this motorcycle was like acting up, like, so I don't know, there's a good chance it just like halts halfway through the jump. Also, I clipped my wings so I can't fly. Ready? Here we go! Yeah, and everyone just watching on TV the fate of their worlds and everything. If you caught a Yvettal in a Master Ball, I just keep it in that forever and never ever take it out. Parasect is a host-parasite pair in which the parasite mushroom, from Paris, has taken over the host bug. It is controlled by the mushrooms that scatter poisonous spores. So basically Paris turns into an actual parasite. It's a parasite that takes over him and uses him as a host.
Dad, I just grown some new mushrooms. One day I'm gonna be the world's strongest Pokemon.
No, you're gonna be a mindless mushroom zombie.
What?
This one's more just terrifying specifically for Parises.
They have no future whatsoever.
No.
This is their destiny.
Sliggoo drives its opponents away by excreting a sticky liquid that can dissolve anything. Its eyes devolved, so it can't see anything. Toothless, it sprays mucus on its prey. Once they're nicely dissolved, it slurps them up. The fact that it's blind, like if you have a Sliggoo in your house at nighttime, it's just like crawling around. You could just be sleeping and it can, maybe it just wants to cuddle up to you and it crawls up on your chest or something or onto your face. And then you just like, your face just starts dissolving. Or when it sneezes, imagine when it sneezes. You know, like, oh, hey Sliggoo, how you doing, buddy? And then your face just melts. Also, like the slime, it leaves slime behind. Your house probably literally becomes like a game of the floor is lava. Next is Banette. It's an abandoned plush doll that became a Pokemon. It holds a grudge against and is constantly seeking out the child that disowned it. Never ever get rid of any of your toys. Or there's a chance that they can become possessed and later find you as an adult and turn you into a human jack-o'-lantern.
Just imagine the list that parents have to go through. Okay, kids, so make sure you never answer the door. Make sure you never go towards a candlelight. Make sure you never throw away your toys. Yeah, just literally just don't go outside.
This is why you never see children in Pokemon anime learning about anything in school other than just Pokemon. Everything in the Pokemon world is deadly. You just have to be prepared for every single step, everywhere you go, because there's a high chance that you will die. Cophagrigus. It's said that they swallow those who get too close to them and turn them into mummies.
In other words, I feel like this Pokemon just wants some personal space. You know, it just wants a bubble around it.
I wonder how researchers get anything done in the Pokemon world.
How many people have died in order to conduct this research?
Dusclop's body is completely hollow. There is nothing inside at all. It is said that his body is like a black hole. So literally the inside of his body is basically a black hole. And anyone who sees like in between the bandages will just be sucked into the void for like all eternity. But that's also terrifying too, because if his inside's literally a black hole, then if something happens to his bandages, basically everything is just, the whole earth is just gonna get sucked up into it. Chandelure. Flames basically are spirits of people, that souls that it took. And it uses them as fuel to continue burning its flames. Once he burns up your spirit fuel, then what's ever left of you is just doomed to lose its way and wander the world forever. Each one of those flames used to be a person that he kills.
Are you an accomplice at that point? Like, accomplice in murder? If you have a Pokemon that feeds on other people's souls to survive?
That also makes me wonder though how some of these trainers feel having Pokemon that they know literally consume human beings' souls to stay alive. And you're calling him your best friend. And now we finally arrived at the Grim Reaper Pokemon himself, Dusknoir. The antenna on his head captures radio waves from the world of spirits that command it to take people there. No one knows whether it has a will of its own. I think the more creepy thing about it is the fact that he might not have his own will. You know, he's just like a vessel that's just
wandering.
Yeah, just being commanded to do this for all eternity. And there's a chance he might accidentally take someone whose time is not yet come.
Do you think he double checks his list like Santa does? Or does he just like sort of like vaguely look at it? Is he dyslexic like you are too, where he just like doesn't always necessarily read it the right way? He's like, yeah, close enough.
So that was my list, my personal opinion on what the creepiest Pokemon are. If there's any Pokemon that I didn't include in this list that are creepy and that should have been on this list, comment them down below, because it's really fun and disturbing to sometimes look up all the Pokedex entries.
Also, feel free to comment below what Pokemon you think Evil Dora would have if she was a Pokemon
That's
trainer.
a good question. Yeah, something like Giratina, you know, who is the ruler of the underworld.
She would have Giratina.
Yeah. And if you want to see more videos like this, feel free to comment the like button and subscribe to the notification bell. So after hearing all these Pokedex entries, does it make you, or childhood you that was obsessed with Pokemon, want to live in the Pokemon world even more?
Absolutely not.
It does for me. Yeah. I have issues.
Okay.
Bye.